أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Can I get a quick raise of hands to make sure that the sound is okay and also the screen as well? Okay, Jazakumullah. Thank you very much. Co-host, can I please get a student for the opening prayer?
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum.
The student for the opening prayer will be in 6129.
Okay, Jazakallah. Assalamualaikum. Walaikum assalam. Could you please recite this prayer that's highlighted over here?
Okay. Allahumma ma inni as'aluka ilma ma nafi'a.
And the translation, please.
Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge.
Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you very much. So I'm going to do a very quick recap just of what was covered in yesterday's lesson. So as hopefully all of you will know, we've been working through the revision of rules slides, which is basically us revising lessons 1 to 3, which we've covered in this course. So alhamdulillah, we are now in week 11, which means that next week our course is going to be coming to an end. So we have very few lessons left, and in those lessons we're going to be covering hopefully this slide. We should conclude by the end of the week, and then we have one more lesson to cover. Hopefully in yesterday's lesson, I think the teacher did announce that we have got an external exam. So we'll have an external examiner coming in and assessing some of you, and that assessment is going to be based on pretty much everything that we've covered so far. So that's going to be lesson 1, the 20 most common errors, lesson 2, 10 cases of waqf, and lesson number 3, which was on the 10 most mispronounced Arabic letters. So please do brush up on those lessons. If you need to revise, then you can access the recordings on the website. I also very quickly just wanted to show you, I think some students may have asked this, you can access some of the PDFs that we use for this course. So if you go onto the Nqc website and then you go to courses, and the course you want is the Tashilul-Quran course. If you just click on that, and then if you go to level 2, scroll down to level 2, and you've got a couple of the PDFs that we've covered during this course, and also available on the website. You can also go to the G1 section, and they've got a lot of the PDFs that they've used. So these are the more basic rules. If you want to revise over, they've got quite a few materials on there, so definitely do check that out and download them. They are available. You don't need a password or anything to access it, so please do take advantage of it whilst it's online. And also, you know that the class recordings are accessed just over here, G2 class recordings. So definitely use those for your revision and just go over what we've covered so far. The other announcement that you should have been told was regarding the concluding class. So that's going to be on Friday, the 15th of December. And yesterday, I think your teacher did tell you that we are looking for a student to do Tilawat from G2 in that concluding session. So if you are interested and if you think that your Tilawat is at a good level, then please send your recording of Surah Al-Baqarah verses 1 to 6 to the email address that we usually use, which is info@nqc.org.uk. So if you're interested, send that in as soon as possible, and hopefully no later than the end of this week. So by Sunday, you should have that in if you want to be considered for Tilawat. So those are the few announcements, and we will do a very, very quick recap of what we've covered so far, and then we'll move to today's lesson. So yesterday you covered complete assimilation. So this was slide number 12, and if you remember right at the beginning of the course in the first few weeks in lesson number 1, we actually covered this, and it was basically with lam and ra mushaddad. When you have a noon sakin, so a noon with a sukoon, or if you have a letter which carries tanween, you'll remember that when you merge it with a lam or ra mushaddad, then that sound is completely merged into that letter. So instead of unla, it will be read as Allah. Rather than Rabbin Rahim, we're not going to hear that tanween at all, Rabbir Rahim. So hopefully that's straightforward. Just remember it is lam and ra mushaddad that we're looking at here. And you just have to remember that we're not going to hear the noon sakin or the tanween sound at all. Moving to the next one. So we also looked at what you have is when you can see the highlighted letters in blue. When you have a sakin letter, so sakin letter over here, when it's in between a mutaharrik letter, so a letter which carries a stroke of fatha, dhamma, or kasra, so over here, and a mushaddad letter, so a letter which carries a shadda. So when you have that sakin letter in between the two, you basically learnt that the letter in the middle, that sakin letter, you're not going to read it. So not qad tabayyana, but qad tabayyana. So you're joining that qaf with a fatha with a ta mushaddad. So this letter in the middle, this sakin letter, it's completely missed out. Exactly the same over here. So the ta in the middle, ta sakin, is not read. The ha with fatha is joined with the ta mushaddad, ahattu. And exactly the same over here. Lam sakin is missed out. Qur Rabbi. So co-host, if I can have one student just to read the remaining examples and then we'll move on.
Sorry, did you need a student?
Yes, please, yeah.
Okay. Right, the next student will be N6103.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Could you please, according to what we've discussed here, if you just read this example, please?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نخلقكم.
Very good. And which letter in this word are you missing out? What are you not reading?
The kaf.
Excellent, well, good. And if you can do this one over here.
Rawatuna.
Just put a little bit more stress on here because this is a noon mushaddad.
Rawatuna.
Rawattunna.
Rawatuna.
Excellent. And if you read this long one over here.
فلما أسكلت دعوا الله.
Almost there. Just over here, don't make the lam too long. So فلما أثقلت دعوا الله. أثقلت. Read it one more time, please.
فلما أسكلت دعوا الله.
Excellent. And just with this last one, please.
اركب معنا.
Excellent. Jazakallah. Is that all clear to you? Do you understand it well?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Jazakallah. Thank you very much. So nice and straightforward. Just something to look out for in your recitation. So don't fall into the trap of pronouncing that letter, that sakin letter, when it's in between a mutaharrik letter and a mushaddad letter. So let's move to this one. So I think you've got, you did about halfway through on this slide. So this is the other case. So we looked at complete assimilation before in slide 12, where you completely merge the sounds with lam and ra mushaddad. Over here, you'll remember hopefully that this is partial assimilation. So this is where you slightly hear the nasal sound when you're merging the two sounds together with waw mushaddad and ya mushaddad. So if I just demonstrate with the first one, فَمُسْتَقَرٌ wa. So that when you're joining this ra mushaddad with the waw mushaddad, فَمُسْتَقَرٌ wa, you slightly hear that nasal sound coming in. رَطْبٍ وَلَا. So again, slightly hear the nasal sound coming through from the tanveen. Shi'a'wa. Again, that angwa, slightly hearing that nasal sound come in. So co-host, if I can get another student to recite some of the examples in the bottom box.
Assalamu alaikum.
What's your ID, please?
85124.
Okay, brilliant. Could you please read this example over here?
Okay. Mu'minatin wadiyatun.
Almost there. So just put a little bit more time over here. Mu'minatin wa.
Mu'minatin wadiyatun.
And if you read the next example, please.
Okay. Ta'irin zatiru.
Very good. And the next one.
Wala amatum mu'minatun.
Excellent. And the last one, please.
Anzuki'a.
Ayyuqi'a.
Anzuki'a.
Okay, jazakallah. Thank you very much. Is that clear to you? Do you understand what you have to do when you get nun sakin or tanween with waw or ya mushaddad?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Co-host, if I can get another student, please, to read the last line.
Assalamualaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Can I get your ID, please?
85113.
And if you can read the first example.
لو يجعل
Try to make this lam a little bit less long. لن يجعل الله.
من يجعل الله
لن يجعل الله.
لن يجعل الله.
And the next one, please.
سكننا
Very good. سكنوا.
سكننا
And the next one, please.
من يخافه.
Very good. And the last one, please.
عذاب ومن.
Try that one again one more time.
عذاب من.
Very good. عذابا من.
عذاب من.
Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Thank you to A5124 and A5113. So again, this is something we've covered already in the course in quite a lot of detail. If you'll remember, when we did lesson number 1, we went through these revision slides as well. So we did complete assimilation and partial assimilation, and we also looked at meme and nun gunna. So again, these are things just to revise, and obviously the best practice that you can get is through your recitation of the Holy Quran. So hopefully these ones are pretty clear to you. We are going to move on to slide number 15. So in this slide, we are looking at something which we call alif zaida, or excessive alif. So what we're talking about over here is often when you see in the Holy Quran, you might find that you'll see an alif which has a little cross over it. So when you see that, it basically means that you're not going to recite that alif. So You can see in the first example, أو يعفو. So we're not going to prolong it. It's not going to be an alif madda, so it won't be أو يعفو. Because of the X, that tells us that we're not going to read it. So we're going to imagine that it's not there, and we're just going to read stop at the fatha on the waw, أو يعفو. And when we're pausing, again, we're not considering the alif, so the way that we figure out how to pause correctly, again, this is going back to our rules of waqf. If the last letter's got a basic fatha, it's going to take a sukoon. So if we're going to pause there, it will be أو يعفو. So أو يعفو and أو يعفو. So it's quite straightforward. It's just being mindful when you see this alif appear. So that is alif zaida, excessive alif, and co-host, if I can get another student to recite some of these examples, please.
And the next student is N6. Sorry, I lost that. N6619.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. N6, did you say N6119, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please recite this? So how will it be recited if you consider that this alif isn't going to be read?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Umamul litatluva.
Excellent. And if we're pausing, what's the change that's happening on the waw?
The dhamma turns into a sakin.
Fatha, yes. So fatha turns into a
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. So when we're pausing, how are we going to read it?
Umamul litatlu.
Excellent. And the next example, please. How would you read this?
Lan nad'uva.
Excellent. And when we're pausing?
Lan nad'u.
Very good. And the next example?
Ribal liyarbuva. Buva.
And when we're pausing?
Ribal liyarbu.
Okay, perfect. So if you were to summarize this rule, how would you explain it to the rest of your classmates?
So there is a exception sometimes when there's an alif at the end of a word with a cross on top. That's you don't prolong it as you usually would, because you'd think that because it's a huruf al-madda letter, but this is an exception.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Jazakallah.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
So I had 100% attendance, but yesterday I had mulakat with Huzur. So I missed one lesson.
Okay.
Should I email the NQC or should it send you enough?
No, if you just let them know and then they'll record that.
Okay. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Thank you very much. Okay, so hopefully that rule is clear. It's quite straightforward. You're just remembering that when you see that cross appear over the alif, you're not going to read that alif. So that was alif zaida when it appears at the end of a word, and we're now just going to look at a few examples of when it appears in the middle of a word, so what to do then. And again, it's pretty straightforward. Simply you're just not going to read that alif. So you can see here there might be a little bit of confusion as to how you would read that, but simply we read it as it's written over here. So we read it as if the alif has been taken out. So waji'a. And in the next example, exactly the same. So don't fall into the trap of reading it as mala'ihi. We are not going to read this alif over here. So it will simply be mala'ihi. When we're pausing over here, the fatha on the hamza will take sukoon. So waji' mala'ihi will become mala'ih. So co-host, again, if I can get another student just to read the last two examples, please.
the next student is A1132.
Okay. And the Quran?
They're more shorter.
A1132.
Assalamu alaikum.
Could you please read how you would recite this word over here, bearing in mind that
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Mi'atun.
excellent. And if we're going to pause, how would you read it?
Mi'ah.
Very good. And the last example, please.
Mi'atini.
Just read that one more time. So this is
Mi'ataini.
brilliant. And if you're going to pause there, how are you reading it?
Mi'atain.
Excellent. So is that quite straightforward to you? Do both of those situations make sense?
Yes.
And what do we call this excessive alif? What's the term that we give to it?
I'm not too sure of the exact word.
So we call it alif zaida.
Alif Zada.
Alif zaida, yeah. Okay, Jazakallah. Thank you very much. So thank you to all of you that have read so far. We are going to move on then, if everyone is happy with these two. So these are just two different scenarios. Firstly, with alif zaida at the end of a word, and secondly, when it appears in the middle of the word. So moving on, we are going to move on to slide number 17. Again, this is something that we have covered in lesson number 1. So this is purely just for revision purposes. And this time we're looking at hamza when it appears over a waw or a ya. So an easy way or an example for you to remember what to do in this situation, what we basically have to remember is that we are just focusing on the hamza. We're focusing on the stroke which appears on the hamza, both on the waw and both on, and on the ya as well. So a way to remember is if you imagine that the hamza is sitting on a chair, and the chair can either be the waw in this situation or the ya. So you yourself imagine that you're sitting on a chair and you are asked a question, and in response you answer that question, so you are the one that's being heard. So in exactly the same way, the hamza sits on the chair of the waw or the ya or any other scenario, and it's the hamza that's heard because it's the hamza that's sitting on the chair. So just try to remember that example. Again, it's very straightforward if you can remember just to focus on the stroke on the hamza. So for example, over here, we are looking purely at the dhamma, which appears. We're not going to prolong anything. It's just going to be the simple 1 second on the short stroke of dhamma. So yabda'u, yabda'u. And remember that we have ba over here, which is a qalqala letter, so we're vibrating that slightly. So yabda'u, 1 second on there. Co-host, if I can get another student to read some of the other examples, please.
The next student will be N6108.
Yeah, okay. Assalamu
Assalamualaikum.
alaikum. Could you please read the next example?
Wait. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Abauna.
Apatigri.
Very good. And the next one, please.
Apatigri.
Imrun.
Very good.
Awliya'uhu.
Excellent. And the next one.
Yatafayyahu. Wait, can I do it again?
Yeah, sure.
Yatafayyahu.
So make the hamza, sorry, just 1 second. Make the hamza just 1 second long.
Okay.
And that it's not a letter prolongation.
Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt, but can you speak a bit louder because I can't really hear you.
Yeah, sure. So I was just saying with this example over here, just make it so it's 1 second. So the Hamza shouldn't be prolonged.
Okay.
1 second.
يتفيأ.
Okay, brilliant. And the next example, please.
شفعاؤنا.
Okay, and the next one, please.
نشاء. جزاؤه. تفتأ.
Next one.
نبأ.
And the next one.
الزؤفاء.
So that was well read. Just remember, we covered in the Arabic letters how to recite the letter Dhad. So, الضعفاء.
الزؤفاء.
And the last one, please.
يدرأ.
Yes. So if you were to explain this rule to someone, how would you explain it to them? How would you tell them what to do in these situations? So would you tell them, which letter would you tell them to focus on?
Like I would tell them like not to prolong like the letter that is underneath it, but like the Hamza on top of it.
Yeah, excellent, brilliant. Okay, Jazakallah, thank you very much. And if I can get one more student, please, to read the last 2 lines.
The next student is A5111.
Yep. Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum N511.
A5111.
Walaikum salam.
Okay. Could you please read this example over here?
Lara, sorry to intervene. I can't hear you properly. I don't know if any students can hear you.
Okay, let me just see if I can. Is that better?
Yes, that's better.
Yes.
So A5111, if you could please read the example that's highlighted.
Bismillah ar-Rahman Al-Bari'u.
Very good. And the next one.
Qurri'ah.
Very good. Next one.
Tilqa'i.
And the next one.
Nabbi'.
Very good. And the next one.
Istukhzi'a.
Next one.
Ita'i.
And the next one.
Ana'i.
Yep. And the next one.
Khayyi.
Very good. Next one.
Yunshi'u.
And the last one.
Yukhayyi.
Excellent. So is that quite straightforward? Do you understand that rule?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Jazakallah. Thank you very much. So again, nice and straightforward. Just try to remember that scenario if you're getting a bit confused. Remember, we're focusing on the Hamza, which sits on the chair of the Waw or the Ya. So again, hopefully that was quite clear. We have done it previously. We're going to move on to the next one, and this is about blank and empty letters. So again, we have covered this in previous lessons. It's just a quick recap. And if I can get one student to read the first line for me, please.
The next student is N6137.
Yep. Assalamualaikum N6137.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please read the first line?
The first line?
Yeah.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As-salatu.
Very good.
Az-zakatu. Al-hayatu. Kamishkatin. Ulaika.
Brilliant. So in all of these examples, what is the blank letter that we're ignoring and not reciting?
Wow.
Yeah, excellent. Very good. So that's quite straightforward. Does that make sense to you? Any questions at all?
No.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, Jazakillah. Thank you very much. Very well read and very good recitation of the letters as well. So well done. And if I can get another student for the next line, please.
The next student is A5 108.
Yep. Assalamu alaikum A5108. Assalamu alaikum A5108. Are you there? A5108. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please read the example, all of the ones on this second line?
Okay. Ulil babi.
So because of the waw, because it's not carrying any stroke and it's a blank letter, just we're not going to read that letter, yeah? So it's just going to be very simple, 1 second of the dhamma. So just make it a little bit shorter.
Ulil babi.
Excellent. And the next one. So exactly the same. We're not prolonging this waw because it carries no stroke.
Ulu baqiyatin.
Okay, just make this ba a little bit shorter. Ulu baqiyatin.
Ulu baqiyatin.
Excellent. And the next one, please.
An-najati.
Very good. And the next one, please.
Sa'urikum.
And the last one, please.
La'usallibannakum.
Excellent. Very good. Jazakallah. That was really well read. Thank you very much. And another student for the third line, please.
N6105.
Yep. Assalamu alaikum N6105. Assalamu alaikum N6105. Can you hear me?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Can you read this line, please?
Yeah. Baraha.
Just read it one more time so it's not a bar.
Yaraha.
Very good. And the next one, please.
Naraka.
Yep. And the next one.
Maswahu.
Just make this longer because it's yeah. And also, do you remember in the lesson on the Arabic letters, do you remember how we're going to pronounce this letter?
Math.
Not the meme, this one over here.
Math.
So try to make it different to the letter seen. So mathwahu.
Mathwahu.
Very good. And the next one, please.
Malana.
Very good. And the next one.
Arani.
And the last one, please.
Attaqum.
Excellent. Jazakillah. Is that all clear? Is it quite straightforward?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. And one final student for the last line, please, co-host.
A105.
Yep, sure. Assalamu alaikum. A105. Oh, A105, can you hear me?
Oh, bear with me, I just mute him again. Unmute him. A105, yeah.
Oh yeah, I think he
Assalamualaikum.
A5105, yeah. Assalamu alaikum. Could you please read the final line, please?
Okay. Tarani
Yep, and the next one.
najvakum
Yep, next one.
nigala ataha fawafahu mabahu
So not meme. What's this letter here?
hawahu.
Excellent, Jazakallah. Again, is that very straightforward? No questions about that?
No.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, yep.
My sister, she's in G1 course, and we logged her in for a few days, but it's not working.
Did you get a text message with the new meeting ID? Because that's changed because of some technical issues. So you should have been sent a text message with the new ID.
No, we didn't get one.
Okay. What's her ID?
N1211.
N1211, and she's in G1, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So I'll let the team know, and then they should hopefully get in touch with you with the correct meeting ID.
Okay.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, no problem. So, okay. So again, very, very straightforward. It's just about remembering all of these rules when you're reciting. So we are going to move on. I think we're moving quite well. So progress has been good in this class. So we may just finish these slides today. So we are looking at slide number 19, and this is a rule that we did not too long ago again. So this was the small meme, which we call meme maqluba. And what you basically had to remember was that when it appears either by the tanween sign under the letter or above the letter, or with a noon sakin, so a noon with a scorn, when you see that small meme appear, that noon sound or the tanween sound is replaced by the meme. And when you merge it with the next letter, which is ba, we're going to pause for about 2 seconds. So in the first example, mustakhfim bil-layli. So mustakhfim bil-layli. Pausing and also replacing the tanween of kasratain, with a meme. Mustakhfim bil-layli. And if I can get one more student, please, co-host, to read some of the examples.
A133. Sorry, A1133.
Yep. Assalamu alaikum, A1133. Assalamu alaikum, A1133, are you there? A1133, can you hear me? Yeah, that's fine. You can choose someone else.
Student is A5107.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, A5107. Oh, just unmute them.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please read the next example?
Okay. Vasari. Okay. Vasari bud. Bida. Huh? Oh. Can we start?
Yeah, sure.
Vasari. Bub. Bidahari.
So over here, you've got the right sound. So you've got wasari bum. So it's going to be meme sound. But what do you have to remember when you're merging it with this bar?
Oh yeah.
How much time are you going to give it when you're pausing there?
What? 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. So try one more time.
Okay. Wasarabum bidari.
So when you're pausing here, 2 seconds on the actual boom sound. Wasari boom bin nahari.
Okay. Wasaribum bidahari.
Okay, and also over here, when you're joining this bar with this noon mushaddad, just put a bit more stress on it. Wasari bum bin nahari.
Wasabum bimahara.
Bin nahari.
Bidahari.
Okay, and the next one, please.
Okay. Baidi.
Almost there, but the stroke that you had was wrong. So it's not fatha, it's a kasra on the meme.
Okay. Oops. Baidi.
There's one more thing that you're missing. What do you think it is? So you've got the right sound, you've got the right stroke. What do you have to also remember to do?
Nasal sound.
Not nasal sound, but just pausing a little bit. 2 seconds, remember?
Okay. Min baidi.
Mim baini.
Min baidi.
Okay, and the next one. So again, this noon sakin is being replaced by the memes, and we're pausing 2 seconds. So how are you going to read this word?
Bai.
Very good. And the next one over here. So again, noon sakin is replaced by the meme, and we're pausing 2 seconds.
Okay. Sunbulatin.
A bit more time. Sumbulatin.
Sumbulatin.
Very good. And the next one.
Tanbutu.
So not, are you reading it as noon or meme? What's this middle letter going to be?
Tumbutu.
Tambutu.
Tambutu.
Okay, and the next one?
What is it? Minbu yuti.
So this will be a kum. Mim buyutikum.
Mimbutu buyutikum.
Very good. And the next one?
Okay. Mimbadi.
And the last one?
Miss, I have one question.
Yep.
Beautiful. Yeah? Why do you have to say the ka?
For which one?
The last one I read.
This one over here?
No, the other one. The one before it. That one.
Sorry, I think the stroke is just missing. I think that's a mistake. It should be a dhamma on there. But I think it's just a mistake. It's not an actual blank letter, but I think it's just that the stroke is missing in that example.
Okay, I couldn't see it.
Yeah. I'll hopefully we'll get that fixed because it's not very clear. Yeah, that's fine. If you do the last one, please.
Okay. Batak.
Make the bar a little bit shorter because it's you're pausing on the meme, the small meme,
Yeah.
but we don't want to make the bar too long because it's just 1 second.
Okay. Batak.
Batat.
Batat.
Okay, Jazakallah. So what 2 things do you have to remember when you come across this small meme on a noon sakin or a tanween?
You have to make the beep sound. I have to do for 2 seconds.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, Jazakallah. So just remember, bear those 2 things in mind, and inshallah you'll be okay. So Jazakallah, thank you very much. I think that was A5107. So we are going to do, hopefully finish this recap. We are looking at, this time, the small noon. So we've done the small meme maqluba, and this time we are looking at the small noon. This slide might be familiar to some of you because we used it to teach the rule about how to apply the correct stroke on the blank alif. So with this rule, you basically have to remember we have this small noon, which we call noon qutni. And when you see it appear in the Holy Quran, if you're reading it continuously, so you're not making any pauses, you're just going to carry on reading without stopping for breath, or you're just going to carry on basically, then you read this small noon. So you're going to read it. So because I've not made any stops there, I'm reading this small noon. Fitnatu ninqalaba. So I'm reading that small noon because I've not made any pauses over here. Sawa anil akifu. So again, anil akifu. So I've read that small noon because I'm not making any pauses. What you need to be clear on is if you're making a pause. So if you make a pause, say you stop after this first word, khayru becomes khair. You're pausing there. What you have to remember is when you restart, you never read that small noon. So wherever it is, either if it's in the middle of a verse, over here you've stopped and you're not going to read that. Over here as well, you stop at fitnatu, it becomes fitnah. You're not going to read that noon when you restart. If you stop here, sawa'a becomes sawa', and then when you restart, you're not reading this noon again when you start again. So it won't be nil akifu. It will only be nil akifu if you're reading the full thing without pausing. Sawa'a nil akifu. So in that situation, when you've made that pause, it can also be here when you've reached the end of a verse. Qadiru becomes qadir when you pause. Then you restart that verse and you're not ever going to read the noon, not nilladhi. You have to figure out, the question that you have to answer before restarting is how to, what to read on the alif. So you can see all of these examples, after the small noon, it's followed by an alif. And you have to figure out what stroke to put on that alif. So if you remember when we covered this, we call the alif hamzatul wasl, which is a blank alif. And we discussed that there were three different scenarios, three things that you have to, three ways to figure out what stroke to apply. So in the very first example, I'm just going to go back to this slide because it's a bit more, it's a bit easier to understand. So if you remember, the first thing you look for is if the next letter after the blank alif is a lam sakin or lam mushaddad. So you can see over here, we've stopped here, sawa, and not nil akifu, but we see that this next letter after the blank alif is a lam sakin. So the stroke we put on the alif is a fatha. Exactly the same over here. After the blank alif, the lam mushaddad follows it, so it's a fatha. So the first case for you to remember is that after making a pause, after the blank alif is lam sakin or lam mushaddad, which means alif takes a fatha. If it's not lam sakin and not lam mushaddad after the alif, then you have to look at the first letter which carries a stroke. So you can see in this example over here, noon sakin is not going to count because a sakin letter is a muted letter. A letter which carries a stroke is going to be the qaf because it's got the stroke of fatha. And it would be the same if it had a kasra or a dhamma. So you're looking out for those letters with strokes. If it's a fatha on the next letter, if it's a fatha on the first letter which carries a stroke, or if it's a kasra, then we're putting a kasra on this blank alif. So to restart this word, when we carry on reciting, it will be inqalaba, inqalaba. Won't be un, so don't fall into the trap of thinking because it's fatha, this is going to be fatha. Fatha will only be with lam sakin and lam mushaddad. So inqalaba, because the first stroke which carries, first letter which carries a stroke is a fatha or a kasra. The last scenario that you have is if it's not lam sakin, not lam mushaddad, it's not a fatha stroke, the only other fatha or kasra, the only other stroke which remains is the stroke of dhamma. So you can see over here in this final example, you've stopped here bi ghulam, then you're thinking about how to restart, and you see the first letter which carries a stroke is the meme, which carries the dhamma. So this alif is also going to be a dhamma. So when you start, it will be usmuhu Yahya, اسمه يحيى. So those are your three situations. Again, I'll just put up this slide so you can see. Lam sakin or lam mushaddad equals a fatha on the blank alif. If the first mutaharrik letter, so the first letter which carries a stroke, so not the one with a sakin or a skun, not the sakin letter, it's going to be a kasra. Fatha or kasra as the first mutaharrik letter is going to be kasra. And if the first mutaharrik letter is a dhamma, then alif is also going to be a dhamma. So if you can remember those three situations, then it will make your job of identifying what will go on the blank alif a lot easier. It can be a little bit confusing at times in the beginning, but if you make a note of it and just jot down what the situations are, then hopefully you should be okay. Just to confuse things even more, remember we do have the 6 exceptions. These are mentioned in Talimul-Quran as well. So these are the 6 examples in the Holy Quran where that rule that we've just discussed doesn't actually apply, where it always takes a kasra. So the first job that you have to do is make sure that you know these 3 situations, and then the second step after that is to memorize these 6 exceptions, and to know that just for these words the blank alif will always take a kasra. So what I'll do is, if I can get another student please, and we can practice the remaining examples on this slide.
Do you need another student?
Yes please, yeah.
Okay. The next student will be A5103.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. A5103.
Walaikum
Assalam. So could for this example over here, so say you've stopped at this verse, how are you going to restart again?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم الذي.
Brilliant. So if you can, for the benefit of the other students, what's your thought process when you have to figure out how to restart?
I look at the next letter which has the zebra on, which has a lam and has a zebra on it. So it's the next mutaharrik letter.
So not just the zabr, but also what are you looking for on the lam?
What is it? Pardon?
So you mentioned that it's got the fatha on it, but in the case of the lam, what are you actually looking for that's on the lam?
Is there a shad on that as well?
Yeah, exactly. So lam mushaddad and also lam sakin. Excellent. And this example?
الذي.
Excellent. So exactly the same lam mushaddad which follows. Over here, what stroke are you applying on the blank alif? So how would you read this when you're starting again?
Ismuhu Yahya.
So it won't be zir, won't be kasra, and the reason for that is because we're looking at the first letter which carries a stroke, and because it's dhamma, that's also going to be a dhamma.
I thought this was one of the exceptions.
Let me just have a look. No, it's not in these examples.
Okay.
Okay. I'll clarify that one. Okay, I'll get back to you on that one. If you do this one over here, please.
Ankalaba.
Yep, brilliant. Jazakallah. Is that quite straightforward?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, I will get back to you on that one. But Jazakallah, that was very well read. Thank you very much. And we have come to the end of this session. As I said, I will get back to you about this final example over here, inshallah, in tomorrow's lesson. We have just one more slide left to cover in these revision slides, which will just be a very quick recap of Waqf. And then we'll do some recitation practice, and then we'll start on lesson number 4. So inshallah, we will continue this tomorrow. And if I can get just one more student to read the final prayer, please.
Yeah, the next one is N6106.
Yeah, that's fine. Assalamu alaikum, N6106.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Could you please read the 2 lines of the concluding prayer?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ارحمني بالقرآن العظيم واجعله لي إماما ونورا وهدى ورحمة.
Jazakallah. And if you can read the translation as well.
O Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran and make for me the leader, the light, the guidance, and the mercy.
Jazakallah, thank you very much. So really well read from all of the students that we've had today, and inshallah see you in tomorrow's lesson. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.